Hi, friends. Good morning. Thanks for joining. It is 8 o'clock on the money. All right. So today I'm really excited to share some processes with you guys. Something that David and I talk about quite frequently is quality of life. And as we know, in real estate, we wear so many hats that, in my opinion, it is just virtually impossible to be good at every aspect. And even if you are someone that just does have that capability, we just don't have the time to be able to handle the marketing, the lead follow-up, the creation of creative, the social media, the farming, the open houses, like just everything that we do. And so this is why I'm so passionate about what we can automate. And I'm passionate about it for a couple of reasons. The two main reasons is because just logistically, we need automation so that we can serve our clients at a high level without dropping the ball. Second is that for those of you that say, well, I have enough time to handle all these things, it's okay. Well, then the reason I love automation is because for me, I care about quality of life. And so what matters to me is, well, let's automate it anyways. Let's create this high level experience and let's take this off our plate so that if you do have extra time in the day, why don't you go spend that time enjoying your life, doing the things you want to do with the people that you want to do. So, all right. And by the way here, go ahead and put your questions in the webinar chat. I'm going to control chat today as well. So, all right, guys, so let's jump into this. So when I thought about what happens when I'm in control of every aspect of my business, I call that I'm the bottleneck. And for those of you that can relate, go ahead and comment below. So the webinar is Don't Be the Bottleneck. And today, where we're going to show you how one simple voice note can turn into multiple pieces of content. Now, because the workflows are really specific, we're just going to cover 3 of the workflows that you can initiate from that one voice note. And so we're going to share what I call the frictionless workflow for Instagram, email sprinkler, and then also a simple version for an online blog. My name is Heather Connor, and I'm a real estate agent right here in Crested Butte, Colorado. And this webinar is for you. If you are a human and you need assistance with creating content, or you are superhuman like my friend David Matthews, but you like to free up time so that you can take more naps. All right, so here's something that I love, and what I love is leverage. So I've been testing this over and over with a team member of mine, and I love voice notes. For those of you that know David really well, we joke about this because he's not a voice note fan, I am. And what I love is when I can send one voice note to the team, and then it initiates all this action. So you can see here that in the frictionless workflow process, you can have one voice note actually kick off all of these different pieces of content that are created by your team members and even posted. And really, like for me, the thought of voice note, I go to bed the next morning, there's all this content created and ready to go. Like that's a dream come true. So I'm going to show you how I make this possible for myself, and I'm going to share the process with you. All right, so the first one we're going to jump into is the Instagram carousel. And initially this was a post, but I moved it to carousel. A lot of you guys know that for optimization for Instagram, really the 2 things that work really, really well are carousels and reels. Reels because video, which we all know. And then carousels, as you know, what happens is when you have multiple images in one post, when people are scrolling through your Instagram, it actually will bring your post back up in their feed, and it will kick off from the next image in that carousel. So as they're scrolling, not only does it bring your content back into their feed, but it looks like fresh content because wherever they stop scrolling, it picks up the next image. And so those are the 2 things that I actually direct my team to focus on, because those are the 2 things where you get the most the most impact for your time on Instagram. And then I'm going to share something else as well, because really, what do we really want to receive on Instagram? And what I share is you really want to receive shares and DMs. And I'm going to show you in a really simple format how we help that as well. That's a little sidebar, but all right. So Instagram carousel, the workflow tools for this workflow. You're going to need a checklist. I create my checklist in Google Docs, and then I link them to another master checklist in ClickUp, which is my project management tool. You can use any tool that works for you. Checklist you will receive, so you don't have to create that. You need an AI tool. We use ChatGPT. You also need a design program. We use Canva. You want a content storage tool, and I use Google Drive with my team. You also want a social media manager. This is so that they can actually schedule the content ahead of time and get all of that scheduled and done for you. And we use Promo Republic. Promo Republic is not as well known as the other social manager tools. If you have questions about it, you're welcome to reach out to me. I personally don't think it's necessarily any better or worse. It's just one that we focused on, and we know how to use it. My team can log in, and it offers all the tools that we prefer, that we need to manage our social media accounts. And then, of course, you need an Instagram account. All right. So I want to share, we went through a pretty decent process trying to figure out how to automate this, but actually create content that was useful and also beautiful. Now, some of you don't care about the beautiful aspect, but for me, I always believe in the aesthetics and the functionality. And I believe that when you can blend those together, that's when you really have something that is amazing as far as content for the client. And then as far as the automation, usability for yourself and the team. So really it's three things. It is the aesthetics. So I like it to be pretty. The content needs to be good. And then the automation. So we worked through several prompts and Instagram creative versions before we finally got to one that we were able to systemize. I'm going to share a little bit of the process. And this is because some of you are going to say, well, I like your carousel post, but what if? So I'm going to show you some versions and you can decide what's the best fit for you. All right. So here's an example of version 1. So we went through some prompts in ChatGPT, and I worked through this with my creative manager. And here's what happened. This required so much input from me, and a lot of decision making from the team member. So this wasn't just a straightforward workflow where she could just input and go. She actually had to really think about the process and try to make decisions on my behalf. And even then, in this case, I still had to step in and help her with the flow, confirming the content was accurate. There was a lot that was required for me. So we created this carousel post. It's beautiful. It has a lot of moving parts. But for me, this wasn't something I could automate. All right. So then here's the next version, version 2. And what happened here is the prompt worked well. It was pretty simple. And then because I wanted it to be aesthetically pleasing, we added all of these images. And in my opinion, I think that my team member did a great job. I think that it looks beautiful. What happened though is because we are so specific about our branding, having an image for every single interior slide, it took time for my team member. And while that's okay, I like time to be spent on areas that actually make an impact. And so the third version of this will look semi-similar, but you'll see we removed the interior images. Now, version 3 is the one that I'm going to show you how to automate. And here's why. This required no input from me. It was a really simple and streamlined and straightforward process for my team member. She really didn't have to make any decisions. It was very plug and play. And we decided that this ultimately was the version that we wanted to move forward with. Now you'll see in all versions, and you'll see in future examples, that slide 1 and then the final slide, which is the kind of the end card and our contact information, those always stay the same. And then the interior slides change. And this was a process that was actually really, really fast for my team member. She moved through it. So after we decided on the ChatGPT prompt, which is what gave us the results that you saw in the 3 previous versions, and we agreed on the creative that worked best for the team member automation, we then retested this several times with different subjects. So the subject here was home inspection. You'll see again, the first image stays the same, the last card stays the same. And then what we found was it was really simple for her to complete these slides without any input from me. We tested it again, and this one is earnest money. And then again, she was able to move through this process with 0 input from me. So what's the magic prompt? It's pretty straightforward. Can you share in 1 to 2 sentences what, enter the topic, is, as well as create 4 to 6 helpful tips? And so go into ChatGPT, it's pretty straightforward. Type in your prompt, and then you'll see here the example we gave was, can you share in 1 to 2 sentences what earnest money is, as well as create 4 to 6 helpful tips? And then here were the results. I know the slide to the right might be a little bit challenging to see, so I'll read the initial descriptor, and then I'll share the results that we outlined for you on the left. So the 1 to 2 sentences was, earnest money is a deposit made by a buyer to demonstrate their serious intention to purchase a property, usually during the early stages of a real estate transaction. And then it gave me 6 helpful tips regarding earnest money, which I outlined to the left. Understand the purpose, read the contract carefully, negotiate contingencies, work with reputable agents and brokers, and conduct due diligence, and then maintain good communication. And then this is a repeat of an earlier slide, but I want to just complete this process and show you how this played out. So first slide, last slide stay the same. All she did was add earnest money to the beginning. The little short descriptor that we asked for is the second slide. What is earnest money? And she just chooses 1 image for there, really easy. And then the rest of the slides are text slides. And so she just genuinely copies and pastes, and then she posts this and schedules it in our social media tool. So incredibly straightforward, incredibly easy. For those of you that looked at my 3 versions that we worked through, the first one, which was the most complicated, the second one, which was kind of moderate in complication, and then the third one, which is the one we finally decided on. I actually did a little research online to look at other folks that are kind of influencers and they have really high followings, to see how much does it matter that we take that extra time to include the images, and how much does it matter if I just have the text. And actually, the ones that did really, really well had really simple text slides in the interior. So what I would actually argue is not only is this version the most simple, straightforward, and requires 0 input from me for the team member, it actually has the most, what would I call it? It is the version that folks that have really high followers and get a lot of interaction, this is actually the format that they use. So win-win. One more thing before I move to the next slide that I want to share with you guys is on the very bottom, you'll see that it says share and save. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's really small on the bottom of each slide. We added this, and the location of those, you'll just want to match them up to the share and then the save little icons on your Instagram. And it's just an additional prompt for people to either save and bookmark your content for later, which is great, or to share it. And what this does is it gives people direction. So people are like, oh, earnest money, Heather, she's talking about San Diego. She's talking about Crested Butte. My friend said that she was going to buy a home in one of those 2 locations. I'm going to share this with her. She might like this. We give them direction on what to do with our content. And on Instagram, shares and then DMs are really the path forward to win. All right, the next frictionless workflow we're going to go over is email sprinkler. And here are the tools that we need. And I'm going to show you specifically what we call the Q&A email. This is one of the emails in the email sprinkler. So the tools that you'll need for this one is the checklist, which again, you can get from us. We use it in Google Docs and ClickUp. An AI tool, we use ChatGPT. Content storage tool, we use Google Drive. And then a CRM that includes email or an email management tool. We use Keep, and it includes email management for us. All right, here's the prompt. Please take the above information. So you're in the same window with ChatGPT. Please take the above information and convert it into an email where we are answering the question, and then insert question. So the reason that we are inserting a question instead of just saying, please take the above information and convert it into an email is because the Q&A is it's where we're answering a question, and the format's a little bit different. So it's not just a bullet point like the Instagram carousel post. It is saying, hey, is earnest money necessary? Hey, what is earnest money? Are you curious what earnest money is? It's more posed as a question. So I had to add that additional prompt. Now, just note that when that question is asked, that ChatGPT is going to use that to determine how it creates that email subject and kind of how that question is posed. So the reason I share that is be mindful of the way that you pose the question. All right, so here's the example. So open up ChatGPT, open up that same window, of course, you copy and paste that prompt. And then what we did was we modified it. So in this one, we're talking about performing a final walkthrough. This is another topic we had. So please take the above information and convert it into an email where we are answering the question, should I perform a final walkthrough? So we just changed the question. And you'll see here, I said put into the same prompt. We're changing subjects. This you actually want to keep it with. It would be the first prompt for final walkthrough, and then this is the second prompt for final walkthrough. All right. And then ChatGPT gave us these results. I know you can't read all this, but essentially it just wrote an email that said, subject RE, final walkthrough for property address. It actually wrote it in a way as if it were writing it for a client that's about to perform a final walkthrough. So what my team member did was she just revised this so that it was a Q&A email. Most of this was just copy and paste. All she had to do was revise the very beginning and the very end, just because the very end wasn't our style. And then you'll see here, I show you how we format our Q&A email. And that example to the right is the subject line, Q&A, and then you add the subject, how important is the final walkthrough. And then the preview text, I keep it the same. So it's one less thing that the team member has to change. I feel like the more moving parts, the more opportunity for an error. And so I try to minimize that. How I keep it looking fresh in the preview text is I use a merge field. And so I just put Crestview Q&A for the week, date current. I use that in my micro market updates as well. And it's amazing because it's one less thing that the team member has to do. And it helps create freshness to the content and makes it look like you did it that day. Now, the format that I use in Email Sprinkler is contact first name. David covers this in Email Sprinkler. You'll notice that I don't write hi and I don't put a comma. That's just in case you don't have a first name in your CRM for them. So that way, if there's not a first name, then that's blank. And this email still reads really well. Then I write and then the team member actually just writes a quick little intro. It says, our clients are often busy and quite a few are purchasing long distance. The question I am often asked is, and then we put the question, which is the same as the subject line of the email, and we just put it in bold. And then all she has to do is copy and paste the remainder in the email, and she just cleans up the very beginning and the very end, just because our format is a little bit different than how ChatGPT shares it. So this was incredibly fast for her. we tested this a few times and this worked really well. And while we were testing this prompt for you guys, we actually got a few email sprinklers scheduled for the future as well. So final details on this one is you want to make sure that you have a succinct Q&A title, and that is how important is the final walkthrough. You want to make sure that your team member or another member on your team reviews and organizes the content. With the email sprinkler Q&A email, it's unlikely you're going to be able to do a direct copy and paste because, like I mentioned, we had to add the first 2 lines and then we had to clean up the beginning and the end so that it fit our style. And then what happens on our team is that the team member then creates this email in Keep, and then they save it as a draft. And then I am involved in this final step, and this could easily be handed over to an assistant or a brand manager. And essentially what we do is just, all you have to do is once a month or once every 2 weeks or once every 6 months, depending on how much content you batch. We just sit down, she just shares her screen, and she just opens up the emails really quickly to make sure that everything looks copacetic for me. And then when I say it looks good, she then goes and schedules those for the next 1, 2, or 6 months. Right now, we're actually trying to get things scheduled for 6 to 12 months at a chunk. We haven't gotten to a full year and everything yet, but we've been able to get into 6-month batches so far. And then you'll see here, like I mentioned, it's just the revised email of the ChatGPT results. All right, next, we're going to talk about WordPress blog. Here are the workflow tools for this one. All right, checklist again, you can get that from us. AI tool, ChatGPT. Website, we use WordPress and Elementor because I like a lot of control over our website, and we've already built it from scratch. For those of you that are on WordPress and use Elementor, you can join a workshop that I'm going to mention later, and I can share our JSON files with you if that's helpful. For those of you that use an alternate platform, that works just as well. So, and then last, of course, is the design program. We use Canva. All right, here's my disclaimer for the WordPress blog. The pro of the prompt that I'm going to share with you and the workflow that I'm going to share with you is that it's really simple. You will want to revisit the video that's called ChatGPT 101 that I filmed quite a few months ago, and you'll want to follow what we call the PAC method. There's a process that we call PAC, P-A-C, it's an acronym. We'll lightly cover it in future slides here. Now, the con of this workflow that I'm going to share with you is it's not optimized. So in the live workshop that I am referencing, we will walk you step by step through a very sophisticated ChatGPT process, and it includes the use of Google Keyword Planner. It creates blog content. It helps you find the top questions in regards to that subject. It helps you ensure that you have optimized long and short tail keywords. It is a very specific and sophisticated process that will walk your team member through it, but it takes a lot of time and investment. For those of you that don't have a team member that's dedicated for that yet, then the workflow I'm going to show you will work for now. All right, so this is a 2-part prompt. The first prompt is, and this is in a new ChatGPT window, by the way. I like to start fresh with this one. So the new prompt, I am going to ask you to write an online article from the voice of a real estate agent located in San Diego, California. Do you understand? And what we're doing here is we're priming ChatGPT, which is why I'm saying, do you understand? And then the second prompt is, the topic is offering insight to a buyer, the reasons why a final walkthrough of the property they are purchasing is important. All right, so you'll see here that here are the results. And because the result is pretty long in ChatGPT, I just screenshotted 3 screenshots that show the very beginning. So you'll see here with those 2 prompts, here's what happened. The title, the crucial importance of the final walkthrough, your last step to home ownership in San Diego. Congratulations on finding your dream home in the beautiful city of San Diego, California. As you approach the final stages of the home buying process, it's essential to understand the significance of the final walkthrough. And I won't read all of this. You guys can go back through and you guys can pause and read this if you want to see the full result. Here's part 2. It goes into verifying repairs and agreements. And then it talks about during the negotiation process, your offer may have included specific repairs or changes to be made by the seller. The final walkthrough allows you to confirm that these agreed upon repairs have been satisfactorily completed. By doing so, you can address any discrepancies before the closing, preventing potential complications after you take possession of the property. And then it goes into assessing property condition. And then the last slide that I'm just going to share of the results, it goes into verifying inclusions and exclusions, and it talks about testing systems and appliances. When I read through this was really close to a copy and paste version. Now, you want to be careful about copy and paste with the WordPress blog, and we're going to share with you why. Now, here's a quick tip though. When you're in ChatGPT, when you're moving into a blog version, the reason I only shared the initial part of the results is because it was really, really long. And you would have had like 10 to 15 slides. Or I'm like, here's the next slide. Here's the next screenshot. Here's the next screenshot. And so when those results are really long, what'll happen is you get in there and you scroll up and then you highlight it and then you Control-C to copy it and then you Control-V to paste it, or you paste it without formatting into a Google Doc. Well, actually, here's something really simple in case you guys didn't know. To the right of the content, there's this little clipboard icon and in ChatGPT, and all you have to do is click that and then open up your Google Doc and then Control-V, and it's a really simple copy and paste. All right, final details on this workflow. You want to make sure that you have a catchy blog title. You want a thumbnail, and I'll actually circle back to this real quick. And then you want a team member that will then create and then schedule the post. So most online websites will allow you to schedule it it'll allow you to create the draft, and they'll actually let you schedule it in the future so that you can, again, batch content. I'm not sure about all of the website tools out there, but WordPress does allow you to actually create all of these and then just publish them, and then you're done. They automatically publish on that date. Now, remember, this is a really simple blog, like I mentioned, a really simple blog process. And for the more optimized version that I mentioned earlier, a more sophisticated process is necessary. It's pretty in-depth. It's pretty sophisticated. You will want to move into that stage when you have a dedicated team member that can handle that sophisticated prompt process. Now, you'll see to the right here, I share an example of what our blog looks like. Like I said, if you are in WordPress and you join our workshop, I'm happy to share this JSON file with you so that you can easily just swap out the little areas and you're ready to go in Elementor. So let's revisit the thumbnail real quick, because a lot of you are going to say, how exactly does your team member automate this, including the thumbnail? And this is actually really fun. The thumbnail, what I do is I actually just have a day where I am made up and I have, my hair done, and I just take a ton of photos. For me, I change my top. Some people don't care if they're wearing the same thing. I do try to change the top so it looks different. And I just take a ton of headshots in different tops. And then those are all uploaded into a headshot database. And what that does is my team members can then create this blog from beginning to end, including a thumbnail, and it doesn't require anything from me. So that's how you actually automate this process. And that's why the storage tool like a Google Drive is a part of the tools that you need for this to fully automate it. All right, so we're going to talk about the pack process really quickly, because it is important when you are using this version of how to create a blog with ChatGPT. So for those of you that watch my ChatGPT 101, you'll remember if you take content from ChatGPT and you copy and paste it directly into a blog, there are tools out there that will most likely be able to tell that the majority of that information was created in ChatGPT and it's not organic. So because of that, they may actually eliminate you from search alerts, which is not what we want, of course. And so in an effort to make sure that we're showing up in search alerts, because that's the whole point of having content, is to be found. I would use the pack method, and I circled here, I would use the copy, paste, and adjust version of the pack method. And that is, you go into ChatGPT, you use those two prompts, you copy and paste it into the Google Doc, and then you go in and you manually adjust and add your tone into the blog. Your team member that understands your tone can do this pretty easily. That way, it's not a full copy and blog. There's actually adjustments. And then when that is pasted into your WordPress blog, it's no longer flagged as full content from ChatGPT. So that is something that you want to be mindful of when using this version. All right, and then just to reiterate what I talked about before, the 3 ways of utilizing ChatGPT. This is a slide that I copied and pasted from that webinar. Here's the 3 versions, and then I clearly highlighted you only want steps 1 and 2, just so you're not excluded from those online searches. So again, 1, copy and paste. And then you want something super straightforward and simple like an outline. 2 is copy, paste, and adjust. And then again, you want to make sure that you adjust it. All right. This is the end. This one is really short, simple, and sweet, you guys. And so if you want to watch the full video on ChatGPT where I talk about prompts, how to optimize them, it's a great 101. And don't mistake 101 for simple and outdated. 101 is a great foundation to build your skill set, especially because wow, let's see if I can talk to you guys. The reason I love this one is because it's specifically targeted for you and in real estate. So you can watch the full video on our website, realgoodlife.co. You'll see all of our past webinars are listed on there. And then I have referenced this a few times, so let's talk about this. You can join our live online workshop. Something that David and I noticed is that when we get really tactical in our webinars, it's really nice. And you're like, gosh, that's great. And then what happens afterwards? I mean, let's be honest. I do this all the time. You're like, that was amazing. And then you just move on with your life and you never revisit and you never actually set up that system. So for me, I do really well when I have dedicated time. And I also do really well when I have somebody to help me, because I tend to get stuck on the really, really simple things. For me, that person that often helps me get unstuck is David, because he's amazing with those details. For those of you that maybe don't have a David in your life, you do with GoodLife, actually. We are now hosting live online workshops. Our goal is to handle these quarterly. They're online, so you can join from anywhere. We will be introducing live events so that we can all just hang out with each other. But for these workshops, they're going to be online so that you can get your systems created from the comfort of your home. So if you would like to be a part of our next GoodLife live workshop, then you can send a request to vip@realgoodlife.co. That's our email address, and let us know that you would like to be considered. There are limited spots because due to the nature of how this workshop works, all of us are going to be together on a Zoom call, and we're going to work through the process together, and every single person is going to leave with that process in place. Because of how this is formatted, we have a very limited number for each workshop. And just so you know, we are currently discussing whether the first workshop will be the 3-phase ad funnel that Steve Olson covered for us, or if it's going to be setting up the frictionless workflow. And so for those of you that plan on attending, shoot us an email and let us know which one you would prefer first. And we'll just go ahead and move forward with the one that's the general consensus. And then just so you know, again, what to expect, we will share checklist, editable templates, and then we're going to walk you step by step until completion. So again, you're going to get the checklist that you can input into your project management tool. So you may just have it, leave it in the Google Doc, or you may upload it to ClickUp so that your team member can actually then use that within the process. But you don't have to recreate this. We're going to share that with you in this workshop. As well, we will share anything that has a template, like a Canva template. we will share that with you. So all you have to do is swap out your logo, your name, your image, and then that template is in place. And then, of course, we're going to actually walk you guys through to make sure that depending on which tools you're utilizing, we're going to help you get unstuck so that you can walk away with this process in place so that you can actually start leveraging your time. Also, for those of you that are GoodLife community members, which does mean you're a part of Real Brokerage, and those of you that are Real Broker agents in general, you will receive special pricing to this event. So all of our real folks out there, we love you. You will receive special pricing, and you can reach out to us to find out what that is. And then something else that's really fun. Whoa, hold on. So we just wanted to share, David and I really appreciated all the support, and there have been so many of you that have consistently jumped onto these webinars. I know life is busy. We know you have a lot on your plate, and the fact that you take a full hour out of your day and spend it with us means a lot to us. So we wanted to just say thank you. And what we plan on doing with these webinars is there are going to be a few lucky live webinar participants, and you'll receive complimentary passes to our next GoodLife live workshop. And so winners, here's how we select the winners. You will be selected from the Zoom participant list, and you will receive 2 passes. So you will get a pass for yourself and then a pass so that you can bring a friend. I always believe that we are meant to get better together. That is the power of real estate. It's definitely a strong part is relationships, the power of relationships. So definitely if you win, you get to bring a friend and you guys get to get these processes in place together. You get to grow together, which is something that's really important to us. All right. One final housekeeping thing for you guys to know about the workshop. You do not have to be a real broker to attend this live workshop. This is broker agnostic. Everybody is welcome. You do receive special pricing if you're a GoodLife member or a member of Real Broker, but everybody is welcome. So I just wanted to share that. And then if you have additional questions, of course, here's how you can reach us. So Heather Connor here and David Matthews, I would love to hear your feedback on these workflows and what you think. And for those of you that are going to implement, I would love to know how that implement process went. All right, guys, have a beautiful Wednesday, and we will see you next week.